and welcome to episode 28 of Warhammer Joey, and this is Warhammer Wednesday, and today I'm going to do something a little bit similar to my Malifaux introduction and just talk about what you need with Warhammer Fantasy to play, how to play roughly, and yes, at the end I'm going to do some advice from people that I've been talking to on Facebook and Twitter of what they wish they'd known before they'd started, or that someone could have told them. So here we go. This is what you need. Now firstly, you're going to need an army, and you need to think long and hard about what that army might be. So let's think about it, shall we? I've always wanted a beard. I think I'd rock a beard, maybe dwarves. I don't know, I could always go for lizard men. I would love to paint lizard men. But if I went dark elves, they're just so mean. I know, for no reason. Let's go with wood elves. You need an army book. This is my one for the wood elves, and in it contains all the stats for each model, each unit, special rules, special characters, and how the army works together and the points that they cost individually. It's very important. The reason we use points in Warhammer is to keep it fair, rather than how many models versus how many models. If you have 10 dragons and I have 10 Glade Guards, the difference is massive and I will die immediately. But the better the model, the more it costs with points. And your army book states all of this and how much each of your army is worth. So have a look, read through it very carefully, and use this to figure out what you want first before buying. You have an army ready and you know what you want to play with, so you want to find someone to battle with and keep it point-wise relatively small, 500 to 1,500. And with army lists, either get someone who knows a lot about that army to help you for your first ever one, or use Army Builder. If you're really unsure of where to go, it will give you a good grasp of how to get specific units to work together as a whole army. I'll talk in greater detail about list building later on. I'm still figuring out myself how to do it properly, but so far I've been doing alright. For a battle, you will need some dice. I keep mine in this lovely dice bag from the Dice Bag Lady. I'll post the links down below. But I keep them in here. Shall we bury? No? It's clever. I thought of it. I know you like it. I've got my lucky red dice, because they're lucky. So, got these, and you've got your normal six-sided stuff, normal, but you also need scatter dice, dice, whatever, and artillery dice, and these are our cannons and other such like. Again, the details of that later on, but you will also have these and you will need these depending on what kind of army you've got. If it's a shooty one with cannons in it, you need these ones. You will need a tape measure. This was really cheap, and because of that, doesn't work properly because I broke it. Buy it, not a cheap one, relatively cheap. Go halfsies, but make sure that you can at least stop it properly, rather than you having to faff around for ages to measure. Do it, you'll thank me later. You will need beer money if you're over 18, or 21 in America. Battles can go on for a long time. Just a precaution, either that or food and tea money. Iced tea if you're American. You will need access to a toilet. They go on for a long time, as I just said. Some stores don't have them, make sure there's one close. And you will need a friend. When you've got your army sorted, you need to take it to the place where you're going to play, unless you've got an area at home set up, which I do not. So I have a giant case. You then need to lug this down to any specific area that you have to play. Good luck. So you've got all of your essential items ready. You've got dice, you've got measuring tape, you've got your army, you've got a friend, you've got some money, and you know where your nearest toilet is. Now you need to get ready for the actual battle. So you find a table to play, you get all of your stuff out of your box and ready on the table. Roll the dice, choose which side that you both want to play on, and whoever wins, blah blah. I usually just stay on the same side, unless it's essential for scenery. But as a beginner, find a side you want to stand on and stay there, and then set up your army into each unit. So I'll talk about the unit. So now you've got everything out on the table, it's in its movement trays, or not if you don't need one. You need to roll for who deploys first. Let's roll. We roll for who goes first. You first. You get a 1! What do I get? I also get a 1! Oh no. Let's roll again. Let's both roll again. You get a 6! I still get a 1. You get to choose who goes first. That was some good rolling, sir. Well done. You choose for me to go first because you want to see what I'm doing. So I deploy one of my stuff, then you deploy one of yours. So I'll deploy my Glade Guard and you can deploy your whatever you have chosen to do. And then we finish. So we leave our special characters to the end, like our wizards or our evil nobles or battle standard bearer, fancy pants characters. And then we can choose those afterwards, and also certain things like scouts can be deployed wherever after everything has been done. So once we set up, we play the game. Another thing you need to think about is magic if you bought a wizard or a shaman and a spellcaster in general. So I've talked about this in my introduction to magic. Click here for the magical playlist where I discuss all the intricacies of that. So before you battle, you decide by rolling a dice who goes first, and that's determined by whoever gets the highest. Whoever finishes first gets +1 to their roll, so a maximum of 7. Okay, now it's time to play the game. So you've set up, you know who's going first, and you have a maximum of 6 turns, sometimes less depending on how it plays out. And those turns are divided into 4 phases. You've got movement, including stuff like charges, you've got magic, you've got shooting, and then you've got close combat. So in the movement phase you have 4 phases of movement. You have charges, which you declare and see what the response is. Some might decide to run away. So you declare your charges, then you do any compulsory moves, like if a specific unit has to run to the closest one and stuff like that. I'll go into this in detail in further videos. Then you have rallying, fleeing units, so some's being chased away and you want to get them back on the board in action, then you have to rally roll for that. And then your normal moving, so your unit has a specific amount that it can move. That's the 4 phases of your movement. So then you go on to your magic phase, which is a little bit more interactive because you roll the winds of magic, which determine how many power dice you get, and the highest one of that is the dispel dice that your opponent gets. And then you get to cast your spells, see the magical introduction for full details on that. But it's a fairly good one, and you do the magic at this point because it affects the other 2 turns, and that's quite important because you can get some nice augments on some units that you really need for your combat and or shooting phases. Next you have your shooting phase, which is any archers, crossbowmen, war machines, cannons, that kind of fun. And yes, you nominate a target that has to be within range of your bows, guns, whatever you've got, and shoot the crap out of it. Just a lot. They get to do any kind of armor saves and ward saves and things like that go on, and then it's decided how many wounds are taken and see how well you do. Next we have combat. So for combat you have to be in base-to-base contact, and say I've got 10 of my guys, 10 of your guys, we've got 10 attacks each. To decide who goes first, it's based off of initiative, or if you're high elves, the always strikes first roll. So first we compare each other's weapon skills to see what we need to hit on. And then we do your strength versus my toughness to decide what or if you wound. So then you have your saving throws, armor saves or ward saves if you have any, and see if you can save some of your unit. Okay, so you've done some wounds, I've done some wounds back, and now we decide the combat resolution, and that's determined basically by the wounds that have been done. Other things are included, like if you've got a battle standard bearer, if you've got an extra rank, if you've gone a flank, if you've done the charge, if you've got a musician, craziness. There's so many of them, and I will discuss them further. And so once that is decided, you then have to test. So you then have to take a leadership test if you have lost the combat resolution. And that means that you have to roll under. There's a lot of different modifiers, of course, that determine this. Like if you've got a battle standard bearer within range, then you get to re-roll that leadership test. But again, I'll talk about that another time. So you do your leadership test, you fail, so you're running away, and you roll 2d6 to see how far you go. I want to catch you, so I want to roll another 2d6, and if I catch you, the whole unit is gone. If I don't, then I move that distance, you're still at that distance, and in the next phase, in the next movement phase, that's when you get to rally that unit to turn them around and stop them from fleeing. So that's your 4 phases of turn 1. You rinse and repeat this whole cycle until you have finished the game. As I said, it's a maximum of 6, and that is the basics of Warhammer. So you've played your whole game. So who wins it? Now, unless you've cleared out every single unit, then you've basically won by turn 6, if they're all gone. Otherwise, if we both got things left on the table, then we have to add up all of our dead corpse pile that we've got in the corner of our table and see how many full units that we've got there of dead things. That's the points that you need to work out for your opponent. If you've got a equal number of about 100 points, then it's a draw. If you're massively over that and you've killed a lot more of their army than they have of yours, then you have won. You get extra points for stuff like killing generals and so on, and you know, you can play it as a scenario instead, but for a beginner battle I just do the kill for points and wiping out a whole army, or you know, adding up the points remaining, and then that would be fine. But that is the basic game of Warhammer Fantasy, and yes, I'm going to give you some tips from the internet. Richard Smith says it's very expensive. And it is. You need to put a lot of thought and preparation into what you buy, why you buy it. You don't want to end up with a mound of stuff that you're never going to use. So, you know, experiment a little bit with what kind of armour you want, what models that you really like, and build a list out of it that you will use over and over. Sean Gill says, how snobby gamers can be if you don't conform to win at all costs at tournaments. Yes, that's true. Some players are very in it to win it, and some are about having fun. Of course, you can want to win some trophies if you want to win, but you know, ultimately you put so much time and effort in, you want to have fun with it. So don't be disheartened by anything, especially experiences of a first tournament or a first game against someone that you don't know. It all helps towards the general learning of the game. The Duke from Twitter said it's not a good way to meet chicks. It will rob you of your life. You'll get bits of paint everywhere, get used to super glued fingers, but it will give you friends across the world, if you're lucky, that will last a lifetime. Very true. Oh god, I've painted my hands, face and hair more times than I can remember, and it's only been 6 months and I have gotten really sore fingers from gluing them together. But yes, I have met some amazing people from the internet, really helpful, and you know, if you put yourself out there a little bit, especially on things like forums, and Twitter has been a great place for me to meet people, and Facebook, you know, you'll get a lot of helpful advice back, and you know, it's really worth doing. Alejandro Kondrasky wants me to talk about other miniatures that you can use instead of the Games Workshop stuff. So with the price increase that has currently got people irritated, you know, there's always worth looking at other companies that do models that you can use as part of your game. It is worth saying that if you do want to go and play at a Games Workshop tournament, that you probably won't be able to use the models that you haven't bought from them. But if you just want to play with some friends or at a gaming club, then it doesn't really matter too much, and it is really worth having a look around I recently did a review for Titan Forge's Pirate Ogres, and I really love them. So yeah, if you want something, my Eagle is also not from Games Workshop, and I love it. So if you want something that isn't, or just want something maybe a little bit different to the standard armies that, you know, maybe you and a lot of your friends have, look around on other companies. Just type in what you want and alternatives, and you know, you'll be surprised at the price differences and the different looks aesthetically you can get, and you might be really pleased with it. Next one is Jay Hopkinson. Write some lists before you rush out and buy all your miniatures. As I said, yes, this is really important. So you can work out what works well together, and even, you know, if you're just getting into it, borrow an army, because it is really expensive, very expensive. You want to figure out what's worth saving up for, what your favourite models are. You know, you don't have to build it so it's the most effective army. You can build it because you like the story, because you like the fluff, because you just like how they look. And yeah, there's lots of restrictions that Warhammer builds for you, but you know, if you're just playing with friends, then buy what you want and play what you want with. Adam Bassett wishes that someone told him 15 years ago that the prices would increase every year so that he could have bought more back then. This is true, they do increase. If you want to buy them, you know, there's eBay, there's lots of different places to go if you cannot afford to bulk buy stuff. But yeah, that's worth knowing, they increase, so if you're just getting into it, buy them now. James Gazella, I'm so sorry if that's said wrong. So sorry. Says, paint as you go, don't let a pile of unpainted miniatures turn into a mountain. So true. I have got a ridiculous amount of Glade Guard and horses that I just couldn't get round to painting because I was rubbish at them. Don't be disheartened if you feel you're rubbish also, because you do get a lot better over time, and the more practice you get in, even at the things you feel you're terrible at, the better you will become at doing it. So yes, great point, James. Andy R wishes that when he first started, someone would have told him to use washes on the models. True, love washes, they really help if you're not very steady on the smaller details, and you know, they do a lot of good shading work for you anyway, so I would suggest doing some washes, or whatever they're called now. Wayne Hudson wishes that someone had told him to just have fun and to not worry about what other people think. Firstly, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of what you're doing at any point in life, because they don't have to live with it, you do. So disregard any snidey comments, stupid opinions and ill-informed remarks about what you do in your spare time. Secondly, with having fun, if you're a beginner, choose someone that you know well, that has some patience, because you're going to ask a lot of questions, because I do, and annoy the crap out of every arm with, oh, what do I need to hit on? How many do I need to roll? Oh, my dice, I've got a rubbish tape. That's going to happen, you're going to ask a lot of questions. So find someone that is well aware of the fact you're a beginner, and that knows the rules as well, because, you know, don't go in with, after one battle, thinking that you know all of the rules, because they might not know them either. So read up on your army if you're all about the playing, you know. Just get to grips with your own army, your own style of playing, your own style of painting. It's all about what you want to do, and it's not about other people's opinion towards it. So there we go, this is my how to play a first game. Stuff is maybe wrong. I am sometimes wrong. I'm not the oracle, but if there is anything that you noticed or think is important to say to beginners, look right in the comments down below. If I've made any mistakes, look in the description, because I will correct myself there. Or you'll correct me and I'll put it there. So yes, my first experiences were scary. I had no idea what I was doing and mostly stood doing this. So get used to that, and then it will be over with, and then you can be brave enough to ask other people. Failing that, if you are not brave enough to post on forums or make your own videos, feel free to post questions, message me on Facebook or on Twitter, and I will ask for you, and it will be all good. So yes, I hope it was educational. If you know anyone that is a bit shy or a beginner, send them this, maybe it will help. And I hope you like the video itself. I'm going to be doing a podcast this evening of Chaos of the Warp, of which I will be doing a beginner's corner. So if you have any questions on this video for fantasy, on 40k, or wargaming in general, that includes War Machine Hordes, that I will be getting into at some point, then post the questions down below and I will ask tonight. So Wednesday the 6th is the podcast, so if you have any, post them fast. I'll be doing it this evening. And yes, like if you like this, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.